Hope in a Jar is a charming picture book about perseverance and resilience. In this story, Llewellyn the bunny and his bunny friends face loss and grief, but together they find the strength to start over. Hi, I'm Dan Skinner, and welcome to the Kids Bookshelf. Ahead, we'll explore the book and talk with the author. Deborah Marcero is the author and illustrator of the picture book bestsellers In a Jar and Out of a Jar. She also wrote and illustrated the picture book My Heart is a Compass, among other books. She joins us to talk about another In the Jar series. This time it's Hope in a Jar. Deborah, welcome to the Kids Bookshelf.
Thank you so much for having me.
This is the third book in a series that features these bunnies, Llewellyn and his friends, and involves a jar. So tell us a bit about this series.
Yeah, so the first book, In a Jar, and the second book is called Out of a Jar. And this third book that's coming out in February is called Hope in a Jar. And Llewellyn lives in a world of bunnies, and he collects magical, intangible things in these jars. So in the first book, he collects memories. And when he opens the jar, he relives those memories. And in the second book, he collects emotions. And at first he suppresses the emotions in the jars, and then he learns how to feel them. And in this third book, Hope in a Jar, it's more about Llewellyn. What is he collecting for his future? So dreams that are small, big, and larger than life.
This is a picture book, so for what ages would you recommend the book?
I recommend this book for ages 3 to 8, kind of like a bedtime story. It has the full color illustrations and the sparse lyrical text that I think it also hopefully will touch the hearts of the parents who are reading it as well.
I want to talk to you about that a bit more in a moment, but first, would you read a small portion of the book to give us a flavor of what readers will find here?
Sure, I'd love to. I'll read the first introductory pages. Llewellyn was a dreamer. He had his best dreams when he was awake. Quiet ones, loud ones, silly ones. He wanted to hold on to them somehow, so he found a way to put them in jars. One afternoon, Llewellyn hoped that someone might want to play. He wished for it so much that he decided to put his hope in a jar too. Then he noticed 2 other bunnies who might just be wishing for the same thing. Turns out they were. Hello, I'm Llewellyn. I'm Vera. I'm Jax. Laughing with new friends made everything feel possible. As they walked home that night, Llewellyn's jar glowed extra bright. His wish had come true. What is that? His new friends asked. Llewellyn told them, and they made a plan to collect and share their hopes together.
So I find this just a really sweet, beautiful book. And I really enjoyed the sentiment here because it not only, a little bit of spoiler alert here, but something happens to those jars and they kind of have to restart things. But with the help of his friends, Llewellyn and their friends rebuild their dreams. So it's about resilience and about just, facing disaster together. And I just really like that. So I assume that's one of the big themes you want kids to take away from reading this book.
Definitely. The idea of having hopes and dreams is great, but also bad things can happen. And I want kids to take away that when bad things happen, it's never their fault. And then moving forward, having support, having community, there is a way to rebuild.
You mentioned earlier that you hope this would touch adults as well. So when you write a book like this, knowing full well that adults are going to be reading this book to children, do you keep that adult audience in mind as well?
Oh, definitely. It's ideally a book that is read at bedtime is is something that kids want to read over and over again because it's something that they love. And so the adult reading the book, I want it to touch their heart as well. And with this, the themes that I that I delve into in the stories that I write are meaningful to me. I have to have a deep connection to that. And as an adult person, and I also always have my 5-year-old self in mind as well, that I want them both to take something out of it and enjoy everything that that the book comes to in the end, and is able to want to read it again and again.
So is that part of why you enjoy writing for kids, because it does allow you to sort of get in touch with that inner child?
It definitely does. And it's also a place where my talents thrive. I have a BFA in fine art, and I have an MFA in poetry. And it's a perfect kind of manifestation of both of those mediums, where they can kind of dance together, the words, the lyrical, the message of the storytelling, but also let the storytelling come out in the images as well.
Well, as you well know, with a lot of children's books, there's an author and an illustrator, two different people. But in your case, you're both. So do you feel like that gives you a creative advantage?
I definitely do. Because my process is so interconnected with the two, I couldn't imagine working on one in isolation. The words help lift up the picture, and the picture helps lift up the words. There's storytelling that the art cannot do, and there's storytelling that the words cannot do. But together, I think they create like 150% story to me.
And in your mind as your own editor, you get to seek that balance and, kind of work back and forth about, as you pointed out, what can I say versus what can I show, and what serves the story the best.
That's right. And when I meet with my team, I am able to meet with everyone. So I meet with my editor and the art director, and we're not, I have worked as an illustrator only on projects, and I work with the art team. And then, it's very separate. And so this way, it's like I get to be inside on all of the decisions.
How would you describe your illustration style?
I would describe it as whimsical and lighthearted. There's something that I find that I connect to through the pencil line itself that just feels like play. And it has an emotion to it, I hope. I mean, that's my goal, kind of like a whimsical emotion that's heartwarming, a little funny, and also has some drama in it as well.
What advice would you have for an artist who would like to be a children's book illustrator? What advice, based on your experience, would you give them starting out?
I would tell them to figure out what kind of art they want to make, not what anyone else wants them to make, I think, and do that thing and practice. Do it over and over again. Find out what brings you the most delight. Because when that happens, the work becomes love, and you never want to stop.
The picture book is Hope in a Jar, written and illustrated by Deborah Marcero. If you'd like to purchase Hope in a Jar, I've placed a link for you in the description below. If you enjoyed this conversation, please subscribe, like, and click on the bell so you know when I post new interviews. Meanwhile, here are 2 more books you might find interesting. Thank you for watching this edition of the Kids Bookshelf. I'm Dan Skinner. Until next time, keep sharing the gift of reading.